Cool. Oh. Videos and voices of the unheard. We are 2B Stream, a global youth media initiative, and you're keeping it ugly with me, Joe Ugly, and of course, Coach Gary Moore Sr. He's the head coach of Hillhouse High track and field program here in the city of New Haven. As we discuss coaching high school track and field and much more. No pun intended. Coach, how you doing? First of all, welcome.
Good. I'm good, thank you.
Listen, man. Last time you were here, you were with the young ones.
Yeah.
Also, you were here with. Well, actually, your son was here as well, too. Right?
Yeah, my son was here too. Yep.
And he's now over at Baylor.
Baylor, yes.
Baylor. Now, this is first year at Baylor.
Yes.
And your son is also track and field.
Yes, and my daughter, yep.
And his daughter. Where did your daughter go to school?
University of Kentucky.
Oh, Kentucky.
Yes.
Okay. And you have I remember when your son signed to Baylor. I remember you had this at the signing. You had a story told, and the story was a Saturday where he was he was lacking. You know, that story stuck in my head. How he was well, I won't say lacking, but he didn't want to stay focused. How's that?
Yeah, well, yeah, if we could put it that way, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you told your wife you had woke up early in the morning and you drove all the way up to the northern part of the state. I can't remember exactly what town.
Yeah.
And on the way back to New Haven, you pull the car aside, you Google Maps where the hell the local track and field is.
Yeah.
And then you made him do laps?
No, I made him do a workout.
Oh, you made him do a workout?
Yeah.
Woke him right up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
So is that the approach that you take with most of your athletes, Hugo? What's going on?
I really don't know how to answer that, but no, I would. They say I'm tough like that, but I would do something a little different with our kids because really it's just about having expectations of yourself and always working to that level. And you dictate that as an athlete, that level. Now, my job as a coach, dad, whatever label or hat I'm wearing that day, is to push you, motivate you, get you ultimately to see what you probably don't see in yourself.
Okay.
You know, and so I really take that part seriously in my coaching job. That's part of our job. Kids don't see certain things that in themselves, and you have to be able to show it to them. And so even with him with that workout, he had to do those repeat 200s on a summer day, and it was hot out there. He was able to make it in the time that I asked him to make it in. And so why couldn't you just do that on your own? And it really was more about a message of God gave you something special. As your parents, we're not going to sit back here and let you squander it.
Okay.
You know, we've been around for a while and we've seen some really talented kids and be allowed to kind of dictate what they're going to do, what they're not going to do through their parents. And so one of the things I know Michelle and I, you know, we're basically the same. We're not allowing our kids to do those things because we know what this can lead to. And so at the end of the day, you know, when you're sitting in a coach's office and he's telling you, you don't have to pay for anything for college, you know, that's what we're looking for. And I made that proclamation many moons ago when they were 7 or 8, when I saw that, okay, these kids are something special. Now our job is to get them there.
Right.
Get them there. And first and foremost, it's always going to begin with academics and grades.
Right.
And understanding how important that piece is and how that's ultimately going to be the thing that is going to get you where you need to be ultimately.
Okay.
Coaches are always interested in kids when they see the stats and they see the stuff in black and white. But at the end of the day, and I tell kids this all the time, once they see the grades, that's going to determine whether they're still interested in you. So when these kids are getting these letters and coaches reach out to them, and then you don't hear from them anymore, a lot of times they see that piece and they're like, I can go get someone else.
Right.
And so that with our own kids, we wanted to make sure that they were prepared to the best of our ability, making a lot of sacrifices, traveling all over this United States, but doing what we needed to do, and them eventually getting the understanding and taking ownership of what we were trying to do for themselves. And that's when it gets beautiful.
You mentioned, did I hear you say Michelle?
Yes.
That's your wife?
Yes, my wife, yeah.
And she's also a coach?
Yes, so we coach together, yeah.
And she's also a coach over at Hillhouse High?
Yes.
Okay, and now she coaches, because whenever I see you over there, you have male and female that you're coaching.
Yes.
So she's not like a strictly female coach.
No.
So you guys work together on this. Man, you could have brought her over.
Yeah, I was gonna bring her over, but I know she wanted to go home and make some turkey burgers. So
No. He told her, I want turkey burger when I get home.
No, I didn't say that.
He said, no. You ain't messing with him at home.
But your wife is as committed to this.
Absolutely.
Now you mentioned how you work with kids and you want them to see an advantage of being an athlete to get to college and drive. Now, and I noticed that a lot of your kids who you have helped advance, you've helped them advance through, getting to colleges, and putting them on that path. What about the kids who don't have that drive to want to go to college, but they do have that athletic thing about them? What do you do? Well, how do you balance that? Because apparently colleges are very important in your world, which I don't have a problem with, by the way.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to meet the kids where they're at.
True.
For some kids, it's an eye opener that, wow, I never thought I can go to college, and this is actually a possibility now through this sport. But then there's other kids that we just have to prepare for a different path if that's something that's not in their wheelhouse. We've had kids go into our construction program and then get certified, and they're coming out of high school making $70,000, $80,000 on construction sites,
nice.
and doing well for themselves. And so, that's the piece that, like I said, you have to meet the kids where they are, and that's through conversation and just trying to figure them out and what they want to do.
Right.
You're going to have those kids that you have to have the tough conversations with also that, do you like school?
Yeah,
right. If you don't like it here and it's a struggle for you here, understand something. It becomes a little bit more of a priority to academics when you get to college, because it's a different ballgame where they'll take your money and next thing you know, you're gone.
Right.
They got your money, but
Mm-hmm.
you're back home.
Right.
So it's really something that kids really have to think long and hard about, and understanding the commitment. I remember when I first started coaching, and kids would ask me, well, if I go to college go to college and they pay for me to go, do I have to run? Yeah. You're an investment for them. Yeah, you have to run if they're going to pay for you to go there. And so just getting our kids to understand the bigger picture that, on that next level, everybody wants to be there. It looks good, but it's tough.
Right.
It's tough. It's a lot more demanding,
I'm a strong believer of, but I'd rather hear your opinion. What is your opinion on college athletes being compensated financially?
No, I don't have a problem with it.
Right.
Because my own son is benefiting from it. So
okay.
So
nice.
But that's a whole nother conversation.
There you go.
Managing your funds, would you get it?
Right.
But the bottom line is, I don't see an issue with it. I mean, when you look at for years, with the NCAA has been able to make money off of these kids,
right?
And so now for them to have that opportunity, it's a great thing. But then on the other side, when I think about it now, it turns into the highest bidder. And then then I think, and so then you could virtually have some programs thrive just because they can give more money to you than or to their kids than another program.
But doesn't that still spells the same when you're looking at scholarships? You could give them more if the school have more access to funds.
Well, the scholarship and the NIL stuff is two separate things.
Walk it by me.
So when you're talking about the NIL, that's most of the time through a private company or outside of the university.
Correct.
And that's your money, that's yours. Whereas the scholarship is coming from the university.
But you don't think the universities should be responsible to actually give back to the kids? Because here's my philosophy. Okay. I often believe that for the kind of money that these universities have been making off of these kids for, as we just said, generations, I often think that, you got D1 schools, they should be, or whatever level school you're on. What about setting aside $20,000 a year for these kids? If you go pro, you forfeit. If you don't go pro, you have $40,000 to $80,000 that maybe you could start a business.
That.
What is wrong with that process?
No, I don't think anything's wrong with that process. It actually sounds like a pretty good idea. But I just don't know if that's something that they're willing to do. And
is it that they're not willing to do it because we're not speaking up on it? Because in our community in particular, we're pushing out a lot of their product, if we may. If we're not willing to come up with these ideas and then making sure that we push it, I don't think it's ever going to happen.
No, you're right. You're right. It's definitely something that people would have to push and make a big to-do about for the universities to do that. I just think that sometimes it gets sticky when you start talking about, well, how much money does a field hockey player get compared to a football player? How do you determine that? Well, and how do you determine it to be fair? Well, if you're going to be setting aside money,
right? The thing becomes how much activity does how much response does the school get from a certain sport? I mean, football and basketball, of course, is going to be at the top of the list. But when you're looking at track and field, those schools are making theirs off of it as well.
Not as much.
We know they do. That's why they give those scholarships. They know what they're doing. They love the brand. They love the brand that comes with it, even if it's not making commercial advertising dollars. If it's not coming from certain spaces, they're getting a brand, and that brand is bringing in certain students to that school because there's a kid who might be interested in track and field and don't care about basketball and football, but don't run track and field, but is willing to pay full tuition. And there's many of those like that. So that's why I specifically said we have the product.
True.
Our kids are the product. So we have to start looking at this thing and saying, hey, you know what? We need to understand our true net value.
True.
And start pushing something. Go ahead.
No, I'm with you. I hear what you're saying, and I think that's why the NIL thing is a great thing, because if people see you in a way that you're worth me investing in, those opportunities are going to open up for you, and you'll be able to put yourself in a decent situation moving forward.
For the listeners and viewers who don't know what an NIL is, it's a private entity that allows student athletes to be able to be compensated. Say, for example, a local car dealership wants to give you a certain amount of money to promote their dealerships in that town that the college is in. You can get that compensation, whereas before you could not. You could not share your likenesses. I'll never forget the story with Chris Webber from Michigan. And I'll never forget him telling the story that he could have barely afford a meal. But he goes into the school store and his jersey was being sold for $70. And you stop it. I'll never forget that story. That story hit me to the core. And that's when I was saying, set aside funds. That's when I came up with this idea. We need to start pushing set aside funds.
No, I hear you. No, you're right. I remember that.
You remember that story?
I remember that.
Yeah. And I don't know how it hit you, but I know for me, it rocked my nerves. It really did.
No, you're right, and especially when you talk about Weber and what the Fab Five did,
exactly,
and culture and everything.
Exactly. And out of the Fab Five, I think it was only 3 of them actually went pro: Jalen Rose, Weber, and who else was I see, we can't even remember.
My man, the head coach, I can't remember his name right now.
There you go.
I just wonder if he went. He may have went. I'm not even sure. I can't remember his name right now.
Right.
If I see his face.
Right. But these are the things that we love, and I think we have this responsibility, if I may, that when we have these voices, these spaces, we're in these spaces, we have a responsibility to express these concerns and how do they fit into the nucleus of our community.
Yes.
One of the things that you see me, I'm always pushing over here is equality, a voice, especially a voice for our athletes.
Yes.
We have been this commodity since entertainment started in this country.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, that's what they use us up for. And I'm just so tired of our kids. You know, you give them a scholarship to get hurt and they go home and they have nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I think those days aren't quite what they used to be because the colleges are under a watchful eye to make sure kids graduate because you know you lose scholarships, the kids aren't graduating and the GPA is lower, and so I think they're more apt now to say, hey, you know, we want to make sure you graduate, and I know a lot of colleges that actually push to do that. You know, because, you know, at the end of the day, you're going to have a lot of programs out there that really want to see you graduate and get your degree.
But here's the thing. You're an athlete. And first of all, before I even go any further, I know you have, in your program, you have, should I say, multi-sport athletes in your program. Like you have a football player that also runs track and field.
Yeah.
What concerns do you have when you see, because track and field comes after football? As the way how the seasons go.
Yes.
What do you feel? What's going through your mind when you see and mainly a senior, someone who's like a senior, in high school, that's playing football, and you know he or she can get hurt. Well, he can get hurt.
That's on my team.
The field, but they actually run a track field. What goes through your mind? What's your process? How do you handle that? Because I know me, I'll probably be stressed about it. You just say next.
No, I'm okay. You know, I've always been a straight shooter, you know, and just got to speak how I feel. To me, I don't really worry about it because I did both sports.
You did?
Yeah, I played football. I played in college, and so
we got killer over here.
Yeah, so it's like, when I was playing in high school, and I played for a pretty good high school coach and pretty good high school team. I loved football, you know, but there was also a part of me that when football was over, I couldn't wait to get to track, you know, because it was just a different type of situation.
But as a coach, it don't bother you because you went through it yourself.
I went through it myself, and you know, but kids come banged up sometimes, and I think if there's a concern, it's always you're coming to me banged up, but you didn't take care of yourself or go see the trainer or go see a specialist or someone for that. And so now you come to me and now, okay, we got to figure out what's going on here. Why your hip is like that or why your ankle, you know, is like that. And did you get treatment for it? All right, now you need to go call Connecticut Orthopedic or somebody or your doctor or whatever and get referred to a specialist to see about that, because it's about teaching the kids too that when you let things linger or you start talking about, oh, I'm just going to push through it, it's something that probably may linger and stunt your progression because it's going to be this thing that just keeps coming back, because it never was taken care of properly the first time. So, yeah, I don't really worry about it. You know, I really don't, to be honest with you.
You know, you got a reputation of being the tough coach. You know that.
I know but I'm fine.
I can't hear it.
No.
I'm fine.
But that's a good thing.
It is.
I like it. And I like it. But
some people like it and some people don't.
No, but I'm looking at it from the sense of this.
Life is tough, cupcakes.
Exactly.
Suck it up.
There you go. No, listen,
Exactly.
man, I don't care.
No. You have the good. I'm going to say you got the good reputation of being a tough coach, or should I say a strong coach. Do you find yourself, and coming from the urban area or coaching in the urban area, do you find yourself in positions where you have that fatherhood thing kicking in, where you're coming at these guys, and how do you balance being that coach and I'm trying to reach them in a way like a father would? Oh, dude.
For me, it's almost like one and the same.
Yeah. Okay.
And I tell our
That's
kids,
awesome.
I treat you like you're my son. So same thing I would say to you, treat you like you're my daughter. So my demands on my own kids, I'm going to put those same demands on you and expectations on you, and how I deal with you is the same. You know, because it's always I try to make it always, it's about you and your life. And we would say to our son, what type of man do you want to be? And so asking a young man that question, he's gonna have to think about that. What type of man do I want to be? What type of young man you want to be? And so that's why, you know, when I talk to the kids in general, and I say to them, I say, you know, the track thing is the easy part. This is more about developing young people. This is more about me being who I am and preparing you when you leave me. Because the bottom line is, and I can talk about this for the longest time, and I know we don't have that type of time. We're just living in a different time when it comes to the expectations that we have on kids and the demands, and people talk about how bad these kids are bad, and I sometimes look at them and it's like, the kids are going to be kids. But we as adults, we're the ones that are changing. We're the ones that are allowing certain behaviors. We're the ones that are not holding them up to a standard, or we're lowering our standard to where they are, rather than having them come up to where we know where they need to be, because we're the adults. We've lived this life. We've seen a lot. We've been through a lot. And so I've always been that way with the program since I first came in. It's about the standard, but it's also for me about, I don't know what goes home in your house, but one of the things I'm going to try to do is show you something different.
Right.
And I think that's where things are getting mixed up nowadays. We're getting too much into, especially I've witnessed that people are, I'm kind of losing my thought here, but it's just about keeping a standard and showing our kids something different, showing them something different that they see on a day-to-day basis. I don't have to cuss and carry on and jump up and down and do all this stuff to get you to be better and do better. I don't have to degrade you and call you names to get you to perform at a high level. And I know a lot of us kind of came through that.
Came tough love.
Yeah, you know, this is how we do it. You know, it's got to be done like this. You know, and for me, early on, I realized I don't have to do all that.
You know, Coach, I mentioned earlier that you have a tough reputation, a tough coach, but you know something else that they say?
Yeah.
Your fear.
Kids are always watching.
Man.
Kids are watching. Kids are watching.
Yes, they are.
And one of the things I always want to make
That's
sure.
That's why I broke that up. I broke that question up to make sure that I got. But they did say exactly what you were just saying. You're a fear, man.
I have no favorites.
So that's why I guess when you see the kids in your program, you have a healthy program over there.
Yeah.
I look around every time I'm in the field house where you guys do all the practicing, your indoor practicing.
Yeah.
And I see the amount of kids that are involved in your track and field. That's a healthy program.
Yeah.
Would you agree? Am I miscounting here or what?
I think we should have more.
Really?
Yeah, I think we have something. I think we have something special that kids can really benefit from, not just now, but for the future.
Okay.
You know, and we don't get as many as I would love to have, because the kids also understand that it comes with expectation. Oh, I hear it's hard, and I hear you don't want to be challenged.
Well, some of them don't.
They don't. But guess what? Yeah. When the challenges of life smack you in the face,
right? And that's where they really fall.
And I don't want
exactly.
I don't want. It's going to come.
Right.
It's going to come.
Right.
But I want, when it comes to you, you're equipped.
Right.
Because you've had to deal with me.
Right.
And you've had to deal with, sucking it up, digging deep.
Right.
But also me talking to you about you choosing how you're going to respond to adversity. And that's been a big thing I've been having to talk to kids about the last couple of years, that I feel that we as human beings, when things hit us, we have a decision to make of how we're going to respond.
Correct.
Some people don't want to hear that, but I really believe that, and I tell the kids that's what I believe. And I talked to them about myself and some of the struggles that I went through as a young man, as an adult with my health issues and things like that, and some of the things that entered into my mind when I was almost at my lowest, and how I had to make a decision of, am I going to be in this hospital bed and say, hey,
give up.
Right. And I'm like, nah, because it's not my nature. And so even when my former athletes would come and see me in the hospital and they're looking at me and they're feeling my energy, I'm telling them straight up, if I'm a pillar, if you look at me as the strong man, I ain't gonna be laying in this bed talking about woe is me. I'm gonna continue to be who I am, and that's it. And I want to be able to inspire too, because things are gonna hit you, and I want you to see when things hit me 14 operations later, that I'm getting out the hospital. I'm at the track meet in the wheelchair, and I'm in the wheelchair for a while, and I'm on the rolling cart for years. Some of my kids throughout their high school career, that's all I mean. They know me as being in the little roller chair and being in a walker and being, and so I want the kids to see that things are going to come your way. Life is going to throw you some things, throw you some serious punches. And the bottom line is you have a decision to make, whether you're going to give up on life, or you're going to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to attack this thing head on and drive through and pull through. And, when it's over and you cross it, you look back at it, I'm here and I made it through. So that's very important to me.
Speaking with Coach Gary Moore Sr., the head coach of track and field over at Hillhouse High. Coach, how long you been coaching?
I came in 92, 93, the fall of that year.
Started coaching?
Yep. Started coaching then. I was.
Were you here in the New Haven system?
No.
Okay.
I'm a West Haven guy.
Oh, okay. I'm not gonna hold that against you.
People say, "Oh, New Haven, West Haven," but I still say it's different. It's different to me.
Of course it is.
Yeah, and so I came in 92, 93, and then I took over the program in 95 as a head coach.
Oh, okay.
In 95.
And you've been there since 95.
I've been there since. Yeah.
Out of that time, I know you have some strong alums who have moved on. Share some of those.
Oh gosh. Well, first one always comes to my mind is always Monica Hargrove,
right?
Who ended up being on the world record relay team, and was with Under Armour for 12 years. And
nice. I didn't know that she had an Under Armour deal, huh? For 12 years.
12 years, and
there you go, people. And pay attention.
And I love to tell the kids the story about her, that she's Winchester Avenue.
Absolutely.
She's she's right there, down the street around the corner off Bassett. And
the Ville.
Yeah. And the bottom line with her, I tell kids, I said, Monica wasn't this top 10 athlete out of high school, but she was a hard worker. She had great character, great personality. And I tell them, those are the things that are going to give you longevity in certain spaces.
Correct.
And I tell them, Monica wasn't one of the top 3 runners in the world or even in this country. But because of her personality, you're a beautiful young lady, great personality, could walk into any room and talk to anybody, relate to anybody, and connect with them. She was able to be at Under Armour that long. And even when she was done, they were willing to give her a position within the company.
Oh, she works for him now?
No, she didn't take it.
Oh, okay.
She didn't take it.
She didn't take it. But at least she had that opportunity.
But she had that opportunity. Right. So we talking about kids who came through the program and how much character means.
Right.
You're a great athlete, but people don't want to be around you. Your attitude's poor. You're not a good team player.
Right.
Those things carry on and people talk.
Right.
So I really love that about her. Then there's Nicolette Chambers, who, I coached, and she was a national champion and ended up going to Ohio State. Monica ended up going to Georgetown. Nikki ended up going there to Ohio State. And then Terrell Wilkes, he's another one that comes to mind, who ended up going to University of Florida. He's doing very, very well for himself. Donna McCauley,
Yeah.
You know, one of my guys that
Don McCauley. That's my dude.
Junior. Yeah,
Don McCauley Jr.
Yeah, we sit
He comes from an athletic family.
Yep. And he got his little doctorate, so he comes with little doctorial stuff and talks to me about it.
Oh yeah, that's right. We gotta call him doctor now.
Nah, I'm gonna call him Don McCauley Jr. But I love talking with him.
He's not even that pompous either.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
No,
But at the end of the day, I'm one of those coaches always searching for knowledge, and so I love talking to him and the insight. He was very instrumental in triggering something in me when he talked about athletes and how athletes make that sport their identity.
Right.
And how once they're done with the sport, they have no clue. Because this is all I've ever been. I've always been the football, identified with the football. I've always been identified with track or whatever sport. Correct. And then when it's over, it's like they don't know what direction or sometimes in some cases know who you are.
Right.
And so I remember talking with him and looking at my own son and saying, I need you to, I'm telling you straight up, you're so much more than this.
Right.
You're an intelligent young man. You're a smart young man. And I want you to be prepared beyond this. So I love that you love football. I love that you love the track thing. It's great. I don't care about Olympics. Right. I don't care about none of that. People want to talk about you're going to do it. I don't care about that. This is about your education.
As a means to the end.
As a means to the end. Because at the end of the day, careers only last but so long.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, we got to figure out this career thing.
Right.
And now we're not going to do it on the back end. We're now, everything's over. Now what do I do?
Right.
No. And just getting that mindset that you're more than just a sport.
Right.
And I think that happens a lot within our community, that the kids make the sport so much more and make it them, and that academics suffer in a lot of cases. And it's trying to get our kids to understand that same concept that this is only going to last. Right. I mean, we can say it, but I'm talking to you, and I'm not talking in the wind. I'm talking to you specifically. What's the plan? Let's start talking about those things. Let's talk about, what do you see yourself doing? What are your strengths and weaknesses? And a lot of times, a lot of our kids aren't having those types of talks or those conversations.
Right.
And so my go-to is always, if you live with your mom, aunt, whoever, ask them what they see in you. Ask them what your strengths are. Maybe they see that you're good with kids. Maybe something in childcare or teaching or something along those lines might be something for your future.
You mentioned a few things here that really just triggers a few things in my mind. First of all, asking the people around you, like your mother, aunt, or whomever you're living with. It also brings into thought of the young people who are probably participating in your program altogether, and they have, let's face it, they're homeless. There's this one thing that a lot of people don't know, that there are a lot of young people that are homeless and are in school, and they don't see it because they don't see them out here on the green or walking the streets and doing that. But couch surfing is homelessness.
Yes, because you have no stability.
No stability.
Yeah.
I'm quite sure in your travels, as a coach, you've experienced that with some.
Yeah.
How do you help a child like that
we've had kids live with us.
We've had
kids live with us.
Oh, okay.
Kid called me on a Sunday and said that we have to be out. We have to be out. And so, all right.
Okay.
All right, Michelle.
We got an extra room.
We have the space. Let's
make it happen.
We got to do what we have to do.
That's what's up.
And so we've had kids stay with us until they've graduated. And parents are around in some way, shape, or form. But at the end of the day, if you have, and you can provide, and you can, if you can bless someone, that's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
Coach, I'm telling you, your stories are pretty much echoes mine. It's like this is the way that I operated. I asked Caleb, this is my. But you know what? I don't like to put the shine on myself. Forget that. But you're right. Yeah. We as individuals, you don't have to be this pillar in your community to do this.
Mm.
You just have to be an individual who care about others
Yeah.
Right.
and say, I can't let a kid go hungry. I can't let
Right.
someone, period, go hungry
Yeah.
if I can help it.
Yes. Yes.
So, there are some coaches, and I'm quite sure you've at least read about some who have kids that they're good with their programs,
Mm-hmm.
but the other aspect of it, they start walking away from kids.
Oh wow.
We've
Yeah.
had that in so many
Yeah.
ways, and especially in our community where kids are in need of stuff, or you hear stuff like you mentioned earlier, the bad kid.
Mm.
Oh, a kid is he bad, or is he just acting up because he don't have a meal?
Mm.
He or she don't have a meal.
Mm-hmm.
Are they really bad, or are they acting up because there's mental
Something
issues?
else.
Yep,
There's something else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't never believe there's a bad kid. I've always believed there's a kid with a bad circumstance.
Mhm.
Mm. Mm.
That's just my way of viewing.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
And our job is kind of trying to figure out a way to try to reach those kids.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
yeah.
When you mention about a kid, how you can help them maneuver through and look at the end game of life and all such. I had a kid here who wanted to play basketball. I had a little situation here where they were in the studio and they were all laughing at him in regards to, you're good, but you're not going pro and this and that, the other.
Yeah.
So I look at that as a teacher moment. So I dragged them all into the conference room. Let's talk.
Mm-hmm.
Broke out the board. I said, listen, you want to be a basketball player? If you want to be one in a 430 or a 450, if you want to be, you might not make it. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But does that mean you can't be in the NBA? Absolutely not.
No.
There's sports management. There's sports medicine.
Yep.
Even
Yep.
the guy who's bringing
Yep.
the towels to
Yep.
the athletes,
Yep.
that's NBA. You're
Yep.
going to get as much passes with less
Yep.
bang up.
Yep. Yep. Athletic training.
Exactly.
All the above. Yeah.
That kid's he went on to, Central.
Mhm.
Got it in sports. Now he's in sports management. Last I know, he was working out in New York at a sports management company.
Mm.
I thought it was Western.
No, Southern. It was Central.
Central.
Central. New Britain. Whatever.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
Central.
Central, right? Yeah.
That's Central.
Yeah, that's what he went. So that's the thing that I look at. Don't try to kill a dream.
Mhm.
It's just how you're gonna dream. What you're dreaming about.
Yeah.
That's
So
key right
Yeah.
there.
I think it's so easy to tell someone what they can't do,
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
opposed to try to help them find a path.
Yep.
Help them find a path, but they also have to understand when you have these dreams,
Mhm.
there's going to be some work involved.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
Exactly.
we can't talk about what we want to do.
Mhm.
So it's you have a goal that you want to get faster, you want to get better, but
Mm-hmm.
you can't miss practice 3 times and think you're going to reach,
Mhm.
or 3 times a week and think you're going to reach the goal.
Right.
That's unrealistic.
Right.
Right.
And so it's really about not just saying you have a goal, but how are you going to go about getting there?
Right.
Yeah.
And so that young man ended up going to college and
Mhm.
and put himself in a position,
Mhm.
I'm sure with relationships and
Correct.
being in those
Yeah,
spaces,
internship.
you have
Yep.
internship, and then
Yep.
boom, now you're in the room and
Yep.
you're traveling and you're doing your thing,
Mhm.
enjoying being in this space, and you're contributing in that space.
This is, this is so critical to our community in particular. And another thing is that when I mentioned sports medicine and sports, they knew it existed,
Mhm.
but they never saw themselves. They didn't see themselves in that position.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And once again, we're shut out of those positions.
Mm.
We're strongly shut out of those positions, although
Mhm.
we're the players. We have our kids are the,
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
They're the ones playing. but-
exactly.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
we're bringing all the action to the game and
Yeah.
to whatever,
Yeah.
and we're still shut out from the decision-making positions.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
think it goes back to what I was saying earlier. We have that responsibility when we get into certain spaces to echo those voices. That's
Yes.
gonna help,
Yes.
not just and I'm a strong believer that I don't care how small you think your voice is, let it be heard.
Mhm.
You might say, "Oh, well, I'm just a coach." No, you got a voice.
Yeah.
Or you might think, "Oh, I'm just a loudmouth on the mic."
Mhm.
Well, guess what? You got a voice.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my thing is to seek those out. Speaking again, Coach Gary Moore Sr. Hillhouse.
A senior sounds kind of weird to me.
I know,
still.
don't it though?
Yeah.
Don't it though?
Yeah. It was always Gary Moore for a long time.
Long
now.
time. No, he's
Yeah.
senior.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially now that he's out there.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I got to actually put that at the end.
So what's going on? So now he's over there at Baylor, and
Yeah.
this is the first year, and he's doing this thing, and
Yeah.
he's enjoying. What's I saw him at the field house recently.
Oh, yeah.
So he comes back. So you let your athletes come back and work out with you.
Yes. Yeah.
What does the off season look like? You have a summer, right? Is your off season, or do you have a summer program as well?
We do conditioning.
You do
We
conditioning.
do conditioning. So,
You're
so,
allowed-
so we really, yeah.
You're allowed to do this.
We could do conditioning.
Oh, okay. Because
Every-
I know in other sports they can't do it. Like I think in basketball, I think they can't work with the kids. Is that true?
I think that's a little more sports specific things that
Oh,
you
okay.
can't do.
Oh, sports specific.
But
you
being
can do
in
conditioning.
but being in the weight room and
Okay.
lifting and
Right.
you can do that. At least I know in our sport. So
How do you find a kid, or do you even try to find the kids to put in your program, or do they find you? How does that go?
I think we're at the point where kids find us.
Oh, is
You
that?
know, I mean, because I'm at the point where I'm getting former
That's what I said earlier. You got a healthy
athletes
program, man. You
whose
got a healthy
kids-
program.
whose kids come to the program because their parents know
Mm-hmm.
what they're gonna get when they bring their kids with me because they were athletes of mine. So I get a lot of that now. That turnover where my former athletes' kids now come, to our program. So
Strength. Go ahead.
no, I was done.
Okay.
I was just saying, yeah, we do get those
strength training.
Yeah.
I know that's big. That has to be big in
track and field.
field.
Yeah. It's
How
big.
much do you put into it?
We put a lot into it,
Mm-hmm.
but I think we need to put more.
Is that right? And the reason why
yeah.
I'm asking this is because I'm thinking, I mean, this is just me with my novice view on this.
Mhm.
I'm looking at this and I'm thinking too much strength training, especially for a runner, might bulk them up and slow them down.
It all depends on what you're doing and when you're doing it, and plus also I always have to take in consideration working on flexibility and those types of things, and how much they play a role in that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not lifting with our kids that get big and bulky, like they're a power lifter or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
But we do know, and everyone knows within this sport, strength is going to be key. You're going to need physical strength to progress and get better.
How much time do you put into strength training? That's what the original.
I'd say in season we'll go about 3 times a week. Summertime we'll probably try to go 4.
Okay.
And a lot of stuff that we do, we do a lot of body weight stuff. We do a lot of band stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
To the novice out there like myself, but I know band training is like when you put the bands around your legs and you do the exercises with them.
Yep.
So that is better for flexibility. What is the strength?
Well, it's just a different way of attacking the muscle with the resistance training.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a different way of attacking it.
Man, seems like you have such strong knowledge on how to do this stuff. Do you do anything outside of just track and field and your kids? That's just
that for me.
You just got enough going on.
That's it because
you don't think I got potential.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah, you probably could be a distance runner. You slim.
Ooh, let's go. Don't hype
Yeah.
me up now.
Yeah.
Hold on now.
But
what are the strengths and weaknesses that you look for in an athlete, or you look at?
Toughness is always going to be first and foremost.
Word.
When you say toughness, you mean endurance?
Toughness meaning when you're put in a situation of, we call it discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to try to continue to push through, or are you going to allow yourself to give into the discomfort? How soon do you resort to giving up? Because it all equates to even a race. You're battling that last 100 meters with someone. Are you just going to back up? I'll let them go, or are you going to fight to the end? And wins and losses come at that finish line of who's working the hardest and who's trying to put it in and put it down. And so really for me, it's you just can't beat a kid who's willing to, we call run through the wall, ready to, that they get that baton on that last leg of the relay. Oh, it's over. We can go over here and, we don't have to even watch because we know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So that is probably one of the toughest things. I'm not the toughest things, or one of the first things that I'm always looking for those types of kids, because at the end of the day, you have to be mentally tough in sport.
Right.
And what we're seeing is our kids nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
that's a point of where they need some working on.
Oh, okay.
They need to work. They need to work on things get tough, and it's kind of going almost back to what I was saying earlier. It's like, what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
And that's
I
where
like
sport's good, though.
I love your question. What kind of a man you going to be? What kind of a woman you going to be? Man,
yeah.
when I tell you that, it's so profound. That is so simple, but it's so strong.
But think about it.
Yeah.
You can't. You're struggling with this thing here.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when the real stuff happens? When you get the call from your girl and she's pregnant.
Mm.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Because it got tough now.
Yeah.
I'm out. When you get laid off from the job, or
when life hits you,
when life hits you, you go to the doctor. Our people who don't like to go to the doctor like that.
What kind of character?
But then you go to the doctor, he's telling you, like he told me, hey, your kidneys aren't functioning, and they're shutting down. And I'm sitting there looking like, well, so what are you going to do?
Right.
When those types of stuff hit you,
right.
and it could be even a life or death situation, but most importantly, when you have a child.
Yeah.
Mm.
When a child is involved and you're a parent, you're a mother, you're a father, what's going to happen when it gets tough?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so I always tell our kids, this is about life.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we love you here, but out there,
right.
if you can't cut it, we'll get somebody else.
Right.
Right.
That's true.
If you don't have the skill set as far as being on time, communication, that's the number one killer I see with our kids a lot of times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just simple communication,
right?
And communicating with people and just letting them know if this, that, whatever. How are you going to make it if you can't do these things?
You raised a very big one here. Communication. Communication is such a struggle these days, especially since most kids, they communicate just by sitting on the internet. Just not on their phones.
Yeah,
Let's go that much.
But that's fine. Yeah. So that means you should be able to communicate more effectively.
But it means that. You're absolutely right. It means that.
Now you have more means.
But it means that. But their social skills, like to hear someone communicate with them right.
Tone of voice,
body
language,
eye
exactly.
Contact. It really throws them really quick. And I noticed small kids today, they text and they more with each other and DM more than try to communicate.
Hieroglyphs now.
Exactly. It's like, and that as a coach, how do you find that challenge, or do you find that challenge?
Yeah. You know what? I'm not even at that level with it with our kids and communicating because I'm probably harder on them now because we've provided you with every means of communication known to man.
Right.
And so for you not to tell us that you can't come and we don't see you for 2 days, but then you show up like
nothing happened.
Like nothing happened. That's like what do you have, if you have a job and you don't show up for 2 days.
Right.
What's going to happen?
I gotta say, this new millennial. Okay, here you go. Come on, you know where I'm going.
Listen, we're messing up right now, but I'm not involved in this.
Okay, the millennial and even Gen Z. I'm watching you guys. I'm watching you close, Gen Zers. I'm not knocking you out because listen, I don't want you to live my life because hell, the internet wasn't even around when I was born.
Yeah.
So let's we barely had 2 cups in a string. You know what I'm saying? But the reality is I'm looking at life, and I now some companies are going to 4-day work weeks. Did you see this new?
Yeah, that's new.
Give Wednesdays
I just got a notification.
Wednesdays off, Fridays off.
Yeah.
So it's like okay, now we're going to 4-day work week. This is the new normal, but they're saying that it's bringing more productivity.
That's what I heard too.
But long term of that though.
That's the next question. What did we see that? And as a coach, and you're doing more than just coaching in athletic areas. You're actually coaching in life skills.
Yes.
So how do you coach someone for this new paradigm of the workplace?
Well, fortunately, we're not quite there all the way. But even though I know, there are companies that are doing it because we're trying to say this is what the company is going to be asking.
Right.
And so my thing is, I'm okay with what they're doing with the 4-day week, and they're getting the production and all that. I'm more concerned, like I said, going back to communication, of letting people know what's what, letting them know what's going on prior, not after. That's the key. That's the thing we're struggling with. Why you let me know now? When you knew you had that appointment weeks ago, but now you got to tell us after you went. And so, but I still think that's never going to go away as far as you being where you're supposed to be, and not just being there, but doing your job at a certain level. Also, so it's not just enough to be there. So I mean, listen, when we have those Wednesdays off during the school year, man, them weeks go by so fast. And I said, and I actually said it out of my mouth. I said, boy, I like this Wednesday off. Then you got Thursday, Friday. Yeah, that's and the weekend's there, and I'm back. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know about that one. I may actually like that hump day off.
Coach is turning into a millennial.
I know.
Yeah, but you know what?
What's that?
It's like the show my wife and I are watching, and I recommend people to watch. It's called the Parent Test.
Okay, Parent Test,
where they bring in different parenting styles. So you got the new age parent, you got the open range parent, you got the disciplined parent, you got the strict parent, and all these parents have their different styles. And it's so interesting just kind of watching that show that there's really not one way
to raise kids,
to raise kids, or there isn't one way to get things done, because like you said, they're still getting production. But it was just so interesting to watch that show that they're eliminating some of these styles. So what they do is they put the child or their children in a certain position. They see how they react or how they deal or cope with certain situations. And as you go through it, they start eliminating those parent styles. So now we're watching the show, and so now it's coming down to these last three styles. The discipline made it to the end. The strict made it to the end, and then the last one I think is the new age parent. So I was saying to my wife, I said, "Wow, it's amazing how that old school way is still
effective
with kids today. Because it seems like we've kind of moved into this thing where people are trying to get rid of some of the old stuff. Where some of the old stuff was purposeful, and it worked. And
the only part about the old stuff that I would always complain about is the actual, what I call violence. They're hitting the kids. I'm not a fan of it because, in my mind, that's plantation mentality. I'll beat you till you act right. So my thing is, how can I reach you with words? And I think I'm an effective communicator enough that I can help someone think through something. I mean, it ain't always going to happen, but I often try. I think my son here is a good reflection of something that I've done right. Now the other one, they'll just tell me,
oh my God.
My other son, you say, oh, you just not. He's not in trouble or anything. I mean, hell, he's an Ivy League grad, but still, that I'm gonna blame his mom on. No, quit.
Oh my goodness! All right, go on, finish your sentence. Hurry up.
Go ahead. I'm gonna chime in on this.
No, go ahead.
And see, that's and you kind of hit it where my mind is at. I think back in the day, the difference is back in the day, there was not a whole lot of talking going on.
True.
Well, they did talk to you at one point, and then the result was now,
right?
And then they weren't talking to you after that,
right?
And I think that needed a lot of tapering, because I got to be honest with you, because me and my wife were actually talking about this morning. We were talking about, biblically, first and foremost, the kids you're borrowing them. They're God's. Okay, they're not yours. Okay, so they're not yours. He's allowing you to borrow them, and he's entrusting you to do your job. And people have different beliefs. I'm just going.
That's a good concept.
I like the concept. The concept is great. You can have all.
It's like not latching on.
Excuse me. You can have all types of different religious beliefs, but I think the concept itself is a great concept. Go ahead.
And we raised our two kids under that same concept, that you know, and I can't remember the verse, but you know, it talks about if you're not disciplining your kids, you hate them.
Mm.
And so at the end of the day, and the Lord took it to that, Jesus took that to that degree, because he's entrusting you to raise your children up the way they need to be raised up. And so if my wife pinched, there's sometimes that we had to let you know that we have to go up to that school. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so now I've always been, if I say it, it's going to happen. But we're going to sit down and talk to you. We're going to have conversation. We're going to explain to you this, and this.
And this is why.
And this is why, you know, and people can agree or disagree, but that's what we did. But once it got to a certain point of age, it's like, then, all right, now we're going. You too big and too grown for me to be and me working myself and doing all that. Yeah. Because if you don't want to abide by what we're saying here, my wife went to the door. We can get your stuff, and if you want to go by what your friends are doing or what you don't live in their house,
right?
You have to come here to this,
right?
And you got mom and dad that are on the same page. Ain't no run here, go here. Mom will get you, then dad will come get you. Dad will come get you, mom will come get you. You know, and then but there's always going to be conversation of understanding what we want for you. You have to want it for yourself.
Correct.
And you know, and that's I mean, really at the crux of it, it's about obeying and listening to what your parents are asking of you or telling you to do, and they're raising you. And so you're going to get rebellion from kids. That's going to happen. Right. You know, right. And people are going to deal with it differently. But I know for us, you know, that's what we did, and our kids love us. Great. You know, and it's not about turning out great in college, but we're talking about you're happy to see us when we come around. You want to see us. Wow. You understood. You know, you love us.
I'm 50%.
You're telling us that you. So we were, you know, it's not this angry thing, and we taking skin off your back. It's never ever been about that, but it's about getting your attention and understanding our level of expectation of you is this. You go below, then there's this. Got to the point where this can be smooth. Don't you like it when it's smooth, Gary? Don't you like it when we're not bothering you? You just play your game and, you know, handle your business first.
Right.
Take care of that room.
Right.
Take care of, you're done with your schoolwork. We made a point to show a big difference between the two. Ball's in your court now.
Coach Gary Moore, yes, I'm telling you right now, he is the man. He's more than a coach. He's a community builder.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. Coach, thank you so much for coming in and hanging out here with us. I mean, it was great talking with you, man.
No, I enjoyed it, you know, and I'm hoping people who listen to it, hopefully get a little more insight on me, because, you know, I'm very much to myself kind of guy. I don't have a lot of friends. I don't socialize a lot with a lot of people, but, you know, I love what I do. We love what we do. We love being with the kids and just seeing them grow and be better people.
Next time, bring the wife with you, man.
Yes, I will. I will. I will.
Okay?
Oh boy, she'll knock your socks off.
All right, let's schedule her to come up.
Yeah.
All right, good people. Definitely. You hung out here with me, Captain Ugly with me, Joe Ugly, and of course, Coach Gary Moore, and the Afro fella right there, my son Caleb. Keep it ugly. I'll see you guys on the next program. Stay connected.
We could have probably kept on talking.